Well, thanks first of all for the invitation and the ability to address a distinguished audience that always is here in the Economist conferences. I would start saying that in Southeastern Europe these days, in this summer, we have faced an unprecedented situation where without any rises to energy costs, the basic energy costs, we had at days very high prices of electricity. Some of it is due to the change in Ukraine after the detailed and destruction of Ukraine's energy infrastructure. Ukraine has become an energy importer from a net energy exporter, at least from as far as electricity is concerned, and also the fact that the EU electricity, the pricing system, in cases of lack of marginal supply going down, the marginal demand, can give absurd prices which make no economic or social or any other sense. This is a problem that we have to address. It's partly a problem of lack of connectivity. It's partly a problem of the algorithms that actually decide that connectivity. You cannot have Austria and Hungary having 500 euros difference in electricity and believe that your system is actually working as it should have been working. This is an issue that we have, and energy security is the same as extreme energy prices because of demand and supply. If you have extreme energy prices, you have energy insecurity. That's my first observation. The second observation is that our effort in terms of LNG has gone well. We now be able, and I can tell it definitely, to have a commercial operation of Alexandroupolis by the 1st of October. And this gives us additional energy security, and it gives especially our neighbors additional energy security. And this is what we could have done, and we have delivered that with the Greek taxpayer giving a significant amount for that wider energy security in the region, because this investment would not have happened without the Greek taxpayers' contribution. So we have paid our due amount in terms of that. Now, in terms of energy security, what we also give to the wider region is a very fast delivery of renewables in Greece. Greece is extremely competitive in the development of renewable energy. Now, within our own system, we have close or more than 60% share in the electricity of renewables in terms of quantities, and this is going to grow, and it's going to grow very substantially. We are already one of the 10 in terms of our market, 10 first countries in renewables in the world, and this has led to overachieving our CO2 goals, and we are offering these lower prices to the wider region, and we will continue to offer them. But we need more interconnections because the European electricity system is not functioning in a way that it is according to the wider principles of the united economic space that we have in Europe. You have big differences in prices that are systematic between countries, and the investments in production are not the way to resolve that. Local investments in more production in electricity are not the way to resolve that unless you have the same connectivity all around Europe. And this is something that the European policy must realize, because if you don't have the same connectivity, then you have a distorted market. And that can happen for historical reasons. You had more connectivity between Western and Eastern Europe, but 1990 is 34 years before. This cannot be the future of the European energy market, because it violates the fundamental principles of the united economic space in Europe.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. That's really fascinating. And the challenge that Europe faces in, I mean, we've said that energy supply, energy security is a proxy for security in general in Europe, and I think Europe has been confronted by this crude reality, given the situation in Ukraine, of how important this is. What, in terms of the problems, you've been very clear in setting them out. What would you like to see at the level of Brussels? Where should its priorities be in addressing these structural problems?
First of all, we need a lot more. First of all, we need the realization of the problem. It's impossible to resolve a problem that you are not admitting exists. This is something very difficult in politics, and it happens all the time. You have a problem, people say, do we have a problem? We don't know if we have a problem. Now you see the problem. The first thing is to admit that the problem exists, that it is not normal for, in the center of Europe, of 300-400 euros differences between two neighboring countries. And this is something that we cannot address in the south, 1,000 miles south. It must be addressed by a European policy. The second is the realization of that the model that we have is based on frictionless transactions. You know, in economic policy, we have what we call heroic assumptions. Heroic assumptions.
Oh, I know.
Heroic assumptions in terms of the classic economic model are perfect information, zero transaction cost, and zero transport cost. That's the heroic assumptions of the basic economic model on which Western capitalism is based and Europe is based. Now, what we all realize is that, of course, we cannot have these heroic assumptions, so we compromise on them, but we can compromise up to a point. The point is when you have absurd results. When we pay 900 euros with the same cost one day and 150 with the same cost the other day, then these heroic assumptions, the compromise is breached. The basic compromise that we all have is breached. And then you have to act.